NFL free agency season is upon us, and the Jets have plenty of free agents who are hitting the market soon. Who should they keep? Who should they let walk away? Let's talk about it. Well, welcome back to New York Sports, WickerMedia. I'm Watts2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're brand new, welcome aboard. Please like and subscribe. I'm working on making my push to get past 500 subscribers. We're just about 30 or so away. Want to thank everybody who has subscribed so far. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and hey, maybe share with a friend. I'd appreciate it very much. Let's talk some New York Jets football. It was a huge day today with Derek Carr signing with the New Orleans Saints, giving the Jets one less quarterback option. To me, I've just got this feeling that Carr felt very wanted by New Orleans. Remember, New Orleans was willing to meet with him even before he hit the market. He reunites with his old coach, Dennis Allen. He goes to probably the worst division in football. So for all the business reasons, I absolutely do understand it. And we will see. I've got a feeling if this situation isn't resolved soon with a certain quarterback from Green Bay, man, oh man, it is going to be very difficult for the Jets to have their fan base excited going into this season. But there is a whole lot more to talk about than just quarterback. The Jets have 23 free agents, either restricted or unrestricted. Now, I want to talk about a couple of these situations. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these free agents. I'm going to divide them into categories, either players I want to re-sign, players I want to let go, and players that I would bring back, but under the right circumstances. And also, we're going to talk about tenders as well with the restricted free agents. There's a lot of people get a little bit confused about that. Well, we're going to talk about that, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense to you and me after we're done. So with restricted free agency, let's talk about that first. There are three types of restricted free agency tenders that you can put on a free agent. You have your first round tender, you have your second round tender, and you have the right of first refusal. Now here's what they're worth. If you place a first round tender on a player and he stays on the team, another team doesn't come along and give up the first round pick, that player this year makes $6 million, just like a little few $1,000s over $6 million. A second round tender, that player will make $4.3 million this year. Here's how this works. The team has the right to match any offer sheet that the player signs with the new team, but there's no draft compensation tied to the tender. So if you only give a player the right of first refusal and he goes, then that's it. But you're paying him about $1.7 million less than you would be otherwise. So I have two players that I am looking to tender. The first player that I would look to tender is brycehuff, defensive lineman. I would give him the second round tender with $4.3 million. Part of me really wants to sign him to a contract, but you know what? 2 years ago, coming off a back injury, wasn't all that productive. This year, he was fantastic. I would like to see in a season where the Jets next year are going to have some more contracts coming off the books, and the Jets are kind of tied up against the cap right now. I would give Huff the second round tender unless he's willing to take, about $4 million a year. I don't know why he would. I mean, look at his stats. He may have been the most impressive edge rusher in the NFL in 2022. Now, why would I say that? Follow me on this. Last season, Huff was the number 2 edge in the league in terms of pass rush win rate at 28%. You know the one player he trailed in that department? Some guy named Joey Bosa from San Francisco. He didn't suck. He didn't suck too bad. He was only named Defensive Player of the Year. Now, that was based off 173 pass rush snaps. Now, to be a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL, your win rate should be around 20%. I'll give you some other players to give you reference. Jalen Phillips from Miami, 19.6 pass rush win rate. John Franklin Myers was 18th at 18.7. Carl Lawson was 33rd at 16.7. And Bryce Huff was at 28. I mean, 28! That is great! And he ranks among, out of 108 edge rushers with 170 pass rush snaps, he ranks first in the pass rush win rate aside from Bosa. He's first in pressure rate with 20.8%, and he ranks third in quarterback hit rate with 4.6. The only two players he trailed were Bosa and Trey Hendrickson. Okay, so Bryce Huff has established himself as a fantastic edge rusher. Now, he might be limited as a situational edge rusher, but this is a player that you don't let go. You cannot let go of him. Somebody, I believe, would sign him away. So to me, I've got to give him the second round tender. And if somebody actually wants to pay for him, well, then, hey, God bless them. But I don't think a team would necessarily give up their second round pick for Bryce Huff. I think they would want to use it on their own edge rusher, especially in a draft class that has a lot of good edge rushers coming out. So that's Bryce Huff, my first tender. My second tender, this might surprise you a little bit, but I would actually tender James Robinson with a right of first refusal tender for the $2.6 million. This is mostly because I'm not sure about Breece Hall being ready to start the season right away, and Michael Carter did have a down year. I love Bam Knight. Also factor in there's another running back who's going to be a free agent that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But after Robinson was traded by Jacksonville to the Jets for a sixth-round pick, I don't think they're going to let go of him just yet. I wouldn't let go of him just yet. I don't think he was quite healthy. I think he was still getting over his Achilles injury. I don't think I would tie in draft compensation. Nobody's going to give up a second-round pick for James Robinson. There's just no way that's happening. So I would give him the tender. I don't want to let him go for nothing for right now. So let's see if he takes the $2.6 million. He may not want to, but let's see if he does. I would bring Robinson back as running back insurance. Okay, now I've got two players that I absolutely want to re-sign at the right price. So my first one is Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle. The offer I would give him is 2 years, $16 million. He's 28 years old. The Jets have a lot of defensive tackles hitting the market. Okay, Solomon Thomas, Nathanshepherd to go with Rankins. We'll talk about the other guys later. You know, they have Tanzel Smart on the practice squad, I guess. They signed him to reserve contract. But this team is running short on defensive tackles. You know, they want to play John Franklin Myers on the edge about 80 to 85% of the time, and that's where he played very well last year. So we could forget about JFM as a inside player. He's playing on the edge. So the Jets have to keep somebody or bring somebody in. I think they're going to have to bring in two defensive tackles. And Rankins surprised me as much as any player did, well, in a positive light anyway. He had a 73 overall grade according to PFF. He's played 31 games in 2 years. He had 75 tackles, 6 sacks, and his run defense, I thought, got much better this year compared to the prior year. So I definitely want them to keep Sheldon Rankins. The other player that I would keep is linebacker Quincywilliams. I would offer him 3 years, $18 million, $6 million a year. Now, not only has Williams played in 31 games, just like Sheldon Rankins did over the last 2 years, but he's recorded 110 and 106 tackles in each of those years. Also had 3 sacks, a career high last year. The thing with linebacker, though, it's a very rich position in free agency. There's a lot of good linebackers who are going to hit the market. I don't know if Quincywilliams is going to get the love he wants. I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to come along in the second to third wave of free agency. I think he would test the market, but I think the Jets are going to keep Quinnen first, and I don't think Quincy is necessarily going to want to leave his brother. I think Quinnen signs, Quincy follows suit, and I think $5 to $6 million a year would be very reasonable. Now, I've got some players here that I am going to talk about letting go. Now, there's a couple to me that are pretty obvious, so let's just roll through those pretty quickly. Joe Flacco. I thank the statue for his service. Enjoy your retirement. LaMarcus Joyner. I thank him for the few interceptions that he had. Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle. Great guy, just not enough production. Vinny Curry, the very inspirational story. Nice veteran. Time to move on. Cedric Oboye and Mike Remmers, offensive linemen, well, they tried when the offensive line was in tatters. That's about the nicest stuff I could say about them. Greg Zuerlein is a restricted free agent. If you want to give him the right of first refusal as well, fine. But I would bring him back for, pretty much the league minimum. Jeff Smith, he's a restricted free agent, wide receiver, plays special teams. To me, he's a completely replaceable player. Every team in the league has Jeff Smith. If Brand Boyer wants to keep him badly enough, then, he can. But that would be another right of first refusal. And to be honest, I don't know if I want to pay Jeff Smith $2.6 million. I'm not sure I'm quite feeling that. You also have Isaiah Mack. I'll give everybody a second to Wikipedia him. And Dan Feeney, who the best things that he does are grow a mullet and smash beer cans on his head at hockey playoff games. Not a good guard. So those are the 10 free agents the Jets have that, as of right now, I would not bring back unless they're willing to take like an absolute minimum contract. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. Now, I've got 5 other free agents, okay, that I would not bring back, but these might be a little bit more controversial. So you might disagree with me on some of these, and that's okay, but I'm just going to give you my reasoning. I would not bring back Mike White at quarterback. I can't have Mike White and Zach Wilson on the team next year. You can't cut Zach Wilson. The cap hit is $20 million, whereas to keep him, it's about $9.5 million. And if I'm Mike White, what am I asking for at this point in my career? You know, I'm a little bit more of a veteran. I've shown a little bit of ability to be a productive quarterback. This might be my one opportunity to cash in and get some decent money to have a chance to start somewhere. Now, I'm not talking Geno Smith or Derek Carr. I'm not talking $30 million a year. But if I'm him, I'm asking for, you know, a good $7-8 million a year for sure. For sure. And I can't pay 2 backup quarterbacks $20 million to sit on the bench and hold a clipboard while I'm also paying probably another starter, God knows how much money, another $20 or $30 million to actually play next year. It's just not smart cap management. So to me, Zach has to stay. I would let Mike White go, give him a chance to start someplace else, whether it's Carolina, whether it's with the Rams, where Mike LaFleur is now. You know, I thank Mike White for his time, but I think it's time to go. I would also let Georgefant go. Next year, you have Dwayne Brown coming back. You have Mekhi Becton coming back. You have Max Mitchell. You're probably going to draft an offensive tackle with one of your premium picks. You also have the option of moving Elijah Vera Tucker out to tackle if you so choose. Fant made $9 million last year. I can't pay him anything near that. I know he wasn't healthy this past season, but to me, I think that he is not going to have a chance to start on this team. He's going to want that. You got to let Georgefant go. Nate Herbig. This was a tough one for me. I like Nate Herbig, but you know what? I think I got to put my best players in a position to succeed. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is best suited as a guard. His ceiling is just higher there. And when you throw in Laken Tomlinson, I don't think Nate Herbig is going to take backup money. I think Herbig goes and he finds a place to start someplace else. Okay, these two I think are going to arouse a few surprises. But Connor McGovern, I would let go. I'm leaning towards this because in my mind, he is a distinctly average center. I give him credit for playing every game last season. That's a lot more than I could say about most of the Jets' offensive line. But I think he's an average center, and he's going to get paid very handsomely because he may be one of the 2 or 3 best centers on the market. Look, I like Ethan Posick. I like Garrett Bradbury. Bradley Bozeman's on the market. San Francisco has a kind of an under-the-radar center who is going to get some attention as well. But my real hope is the Jets draft their center in day 2. Whether it's John Michael Schmitz, whether it's Joe Tippmann, Luke Whitler, Ricky Stromberg. There's a center from Michigan. I call him Double O. He's got the long names that I can't pronounce. But I want to see the Jets use a premium pick on a center this draft, and I want to save the money. I think McGovern gets $13 to $14 million a year. The Jets are not in a position to pay him that kind of money. Now, my 5th free agent that I would let go that might ruffle a few feathers. This one I think is going to surprise you. Gregzuerlein, the kicker. I let him go. Now you might say to yourself, "Watch, you can't. Gregzuerlein's the best kicker the Jets have had in 5 years since Jason Myers left. Why would you let Zuerlein go?" If you look at the numbers, guys, Gregzuerlein is 27th in field goal percentage among kickers last year with at least 10 kicks. 27th. He made 28 of 34 field goals for only 82%. The last time he made 85% or more of his field goal attempts was 2018. He has been consistently mediocre over the last several seasons. You could bring in an undrafted free agent. If you want to go with a free agent, there's a lot of good names out there. Mason Crosby, Robbie Gould, Matt Prater, Matt Gay. They're all on the market. All of them had higher field goal percentages last year than Greg the Leg did. Even Eddie Pinheiro is on the market. Did you know, I know Eddie Pinheiro had a big field goal miss towards the end of the season, but he made 94% of his kicks last year. I don't care about the launch angle. I don't care how low the kicks came out. When he gets the kicks off, at least as a Jet, they went through the uprights. So to me, I don't think I would bring Gregzuerlein back. I really think the Jets can do better than that. Now, I've got 4 more free agents. Now, these are the free agents I would bring back, but only under the right circumstances. To me, it's take it or leave it. I want them back, but I'm not breaking the bank. Number 1 is Nickbawden, the fullback. Did you remember he was on the Jets? He missed all of last season, unfortunately, with, I believe it was a shoulder injury. But I love having a tough fullback in a run-first offense. He's a great special teams player, absolutely great. I don't know if he's going to get much of a chance. I don't know if there'll be the roster spot, but I think this would go a long way towards opening holes, for that run game. I mean, if you have Nickbawden blocking, think about an offensive line with a healthy Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker on one side and Nickbawden running right behind them. Forget it. You are seeing you're seeing holes you can drive Mack trucks through. Oh my goodness. Now, KwonAlexander, another free agent linebacker. I like him very much. It was a very good signing this past year, but he's kind of a sub-package linebacker for the Jets. I don't expect him back, but I would like him back. But to me, I don't know if they're going to commit to both Quincy and Kwon. To me, I think you keep one, but one should probably go, and I would bring somebody else in, either as a free agent or in the draft. Nathanshepherd is a tricky one. I got to give him credit. He played pretty good run defense this past year. If he'll come back for the same $1 million, fine, I would do it. The coaching staff loves him. But if you want to take a lower draft pick and replace a run-stopping defensive tackle, great, go ahead and do it. But if not, I could deal with Shepherd coming back for a very low contract. And finally, Tyjohnson. Here's the thing with Ty. Good Ty. Tyjohnson is a lot like a hot dog. A good one is really good. A bad one stinks, and you never want to have one again. All right. Tyjohnson made less than $1 million last year. If he'll come back for $1 million again, fine, because we have the running back depth between Hall, Carter, Bam, and again, I'd try to keep J-Rob. But if James Robinson goes, then and only then would I try to bring Tyjohnson back. I'd like to have one of them back. It doesn't make sense to have 5 running backs in your plans. So right now, I prefer James Robinson over Tyjohnson, but I can see the argument to keep Tyjohnson. All right, so those are my thoughts on the 23 Jets free agents. You've heard my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments. Who would you keep? Who would you get rid of? Who can you not bear to lose? Who do you want out the door right now? Thanks, everybody, so much for watching. I'll see you back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.